What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi flying solo today. Sheets is on his way to Vegas to enter the Circa stuff, and Rhodey's on his way soon, I think, to the live final. So a lot of people in the move here for TrueDFS. So I gotta show up, even though I don't feel very well. I've been a little bit sick for the last month. Kind of starting to worry me a little bit. So gonna get that checked out next week. Anyway, I'm going to go through game by game and just say what I'm doing on this slate. Please click the like button when you guys get on in here. And yeah, we'll go from here. All right, starting off with, Houston at Baltimore. I'm sorry, for some reason I thought I was on the wrong slate for a second. Houston at Baltimore, Brown and Povich. I actually think that you can make a case as a large field thing for Brown, but I don't think that I would really be heavily invested in any of the pitching here. I also think that you can make a little bit of a case for the Astros against Povich here, and I probably don't end up doing anything. They're probably everything on the outside looking in for me. But if I had to do anything, I think the Houston offense is definitely in play. 80 degrees in Baltimore today, decent hitting weather. But for me, this game is sort of on the outside looking in terms of priorities. New York and Colorado. In New York, Rodon is, you can see I got a little core tag. I'm going to make him one of my core plays. Yeah, I like Rodon, and it's hard not to consider New York against the lefty. I think they're going to be a little bit higher owned than they're being projected currently, but I do have them as one of the top stacks today. I like the Yankees quite a bit. Freeland has had his struggles all season long, both at home and on the road, and yeah, I think the Yankees are one of the top stack options today. And as you can see for the hitting today, it's going to be somewhat spread out ownership-wise. Toronto's going to definitely be the most popular team, but I think the Yankees will be next. But I like it. I like the Yankees for what it's worth. All right, we're going to talk Toronto, Bassett, and I can't even pronounce the last name correctly, so I'm not going to give it a shot. I think Bassett is completely viable here. I think there's other options that I probably like a little bit better. I mentioned Rodon as one of them. I think we can talk about Chris Sale in a minute. But I am definitely on the side of look, if I was multi-entering, I probably would end up near the field on Bassett. I do like the matchup enough. I think he's got plenty of the ceiling. The Angels, have had their struggles this season, as we all know. And Toronto, just because the ownership is going to be higher than everybody else, I still think you can probably get away with it because it's not, it's still somewhat spread out. We're not talking about egregious ownership of any kind. And it's hard not to like them a little bit. You've got, assuming that Will Wagner's back there batting cleanup, he's 2,300. They're cheap. They're easy to get in. So I am totally okay with the Toronto stack. I just don't want to play the full 5-man as my highest, as the highest owned stack in general on a 14-game slate. That's my only word of caution. Everything else looks good on paper there. All right. By the way, sorry for whoever bet on Hideki this week. I don't know what the hell happened. I cannot believe it. You rarely see a guy in second place just withdraw, but I guess he has his lower back is acting up. So unfortunate for anybody who played Hideki. I did not play that much of him, so maybe a little bit of a benefit to me, but really unlucky. All right, the Cubs in Miami, Meyer and Hendricks. I think the Cubs are one of the low-owned stacks that I'm definitely interested in. It's not like we know that the Miami Stadium is not a great hitter's park, but I think the matchup's good enough, and they're going to be super low-owned. So I do like the Cubs a little bit as a contrarian stack. Not getting to any of the pitching in this one. If you wanted to get really frisky and play Hendricks, I just don't think it's the right slate for it. I think there's, it's a 14-gamer. I think we could find better spots. All right, we've got Bello and Nelson here in Boston. I'm trying to see what's happening with the Bello. They've got him. I've seen a couple of places that had him over 90 pitches. They've got him at 87 here. These guys are going to be completely unowned for what it's worth. I don't think I'll be venturing into playing any of them, but I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not entirely sure why these stacks are not more popular. We'll see what it actually ends up at, but especially the Red Sox against Nelson, I feel like this is a really good spot. And you tell me you're going to give me the Red Sox stack at below 5% at home in with a little wind blowing out in an almost 80-degree day when humid in Boston, sign me up. This is a spot that I'm probably going to attack. So I like both sides, but I especially like the Boston side. They are expensive. That's probably what keeps the ownership down. But Boston's great at home offensively, and I am going to be on the board with the Red Sox as one of my favorite stacks today. I think they're being way overlooked, and I think you could throw Arizona in that mix as well. So Boston is definitely going to be on my priorities. Definitely will have multiple Boston stacks today, assuming that I do play. I'm only playing because I'm doing the shows because I just feel crappy. But every time that happens, I feel like I end up having a good day. So hopefully today is just another one of the same. All right, Cleveland, Texas and Cleveland. BB is going to get a little bit of ownership. I like BB as a pitcher. I think I probably just stay away here, and I think I'm off the hitting in this one too. Just no real interest. This is a game that I'm just not heavily interested in. Simple as that. It's nice to make a big slate smaller, so that will be one of the ones I will be passing up. All right, one of the bigger favorites of the night. We've got Sale against Gore here in Atlanta. And for what it's worth, I'm just taking a look at the weather over here. There's 8 mile an hour winds blowing in from left field. I think it's pretty clear that Sale, if you can afford him, is the top option on the slate. He is expensive, but we've got him projected at over 7 strikeouts. I think this is pretty clearly one of the best options, if not the best option on the slate. So I would put Sale as my priority along with Rodon. You can see I got the core tag on him here. And Mackenzie Gore is a pitcher that he hasn't really had the kind of year that I thought he was going to, and he's kind of struggled, especially lately. If you wanted to get frisky and play some Atlanta, I wouldn't fault you for it, but I actually am probably off of it myself. I don't think I'm going to be getting to the hitting in this game because I do like some of those other stacks, particularly Boston and the Yankees, the two that stand out to me the most so far of what we've talked through. All right, we've got Waka, and I don't even know for sure if they've announced who's pitching yet for Philly. I've seen different things. I have Taiwan Walker some places. Other places I see that they're going to go for the bullpen game. I don't know what the case is as of right now. That's what happens sometimes at noon Eastern. But not going to be getting to either of the pitching anyway. It is 85 degrees and very, very hot summer in KC. Look, I'm open to the stacks here, but I need to know who's pitching on the other side. I kind of like Philly, and I kind of like KC. And they're going to be extremely low owned. Philly is very expensive. Maybe you get to them a little bit easier over on FanDuel. But I am on board with the offenses here, assuming that Taiwan Walker is actually pitching. I like KC. And I think this is a really good spot that's getting a little bit overlooked. Kind of surprised about when I looked at the ownership today. I thought it was gonna shake out a little bit differently, and it probably will by the time we actually get to lock. We'll try to update everything a little bit later. St. Louis and Minnesota, Palante and Festa not getting to any of the pitching here, and probably just off the hitting. Again, I mentioned the number of stacks that I like. I want to make the slate a little bit smaller. If I had to pick one side, I'd probably go with the Twins. And I have no issue with the Twins, but I like the other stacks a little bit better, the Boston, the Yankees. But I think the Twins are definitely in play. All right, moving over to Detroit and the White Sox. Talk about a pretty ugly game. I wonder how many people are going to this one. All right, Flexen and Montero. You kind of the rule is generally you want to try to attack Flexen. You have Detroit, who's super cheap. Hard for me not to have Detroit as one of the teams I'm considering today. I actually think there's a little bit of wind blowing in from center field. It's 80 degrees though in Chicago. We'll see what the weather looks like right beforehand. But I am totally okay with Detroit if you wanted to as a value stack. I don't think I'd want to go 5-man on a 14-game slate. But it is you have Flexen and a terrible White Sox bullpen behind him. It's hard not to have some interest. And I think you could make a little bit of a case for some of the White Sox as just one-offs or something. I mean, again, super cheap. Corey Lee, it's been, probably batting 5th or 6th today. He's got some pop. I think this is an interesting game for offense that's not getting a ton of attention. Getting a little bit on the Detroit side, but nothing on the White Sox side. So I'm definitely open to the offenses there in Chicago. I don't love that there's a little bit of wind blowing in, but it's not enough to keep me off of it. All right. Moving over to New York and San Diego, Musgrove and Blackburn. I think Musgrove probably ends up on the outside looking in for me, but I've definitely considered him. I've got his name written down, and yeah, he's one. He only had 2 starts since he got injured back in May, and I think this is a reasonable enough spot to take a shot on him. Obviously, San Diego's a good pitcher's park. He's got a pretty low strikeout number, but he is a way to save some money. We haven't really found that much value at pitching today. So Musgrove would be an option you could consider, but I think probably ends up on the outside looking in. And I personally am not getting to the offenses here. But if you wanted to, I think that if you want to take a shot against Musgrove, I don't have an issue with it, but not for me. It's not on the slate. Milwaukee and Oakland. I think you could make a pretty decent case for Savale here. Look, he's 7,200. It's cheap enough. And I actually think you could make a case, like I think that you could make a case for Milwaukee and for Sears a little bit. It's only 66 degrees in Oakland, probably better spots to attack. But I'm a little bit interested in Savale here. So just because, again, we don't have a lot of cheap pitchers on the slate. It is Oakland. I wouldn't mind taking a little shot on Savale personally. All right, so rounding it out, we're finishing up. We're going to San Francisco, Seattle. Sorry, a lot of games to get through. Luis Castillo, the San Francisco struck out. I think they have like the 6th most strikeouts in the league percentage-wise against right-handed pitching. Maybe it's gotten a little bit better for them, a little worse for the pitcher, I guess you'd say. But I think Castillo is completely viable here. If you're not going to be playing the Rodon. Well, even if you are on DraftKings, I think you consider Castillo certainly as another option in addition to Rodon. He's probably a little bit below Rodon and Sale for me, but would probably be the next guy I consider. Let's see what it is. We've got him almost at 7 strikeouts. Wow. Okay. Yeah, Castillo's probably my 3rd favorite pitcher today. I'm not going to mark him as a core play, but I think he's certainly viable. I'm kind of interested in Birdsong a little bit Birdsong, Savale are the 2 cheapos that I'm kind of considering. And I think this is a reasonable look. We know Seattle strikes out the most in baseball against both righties and lefties. We like the matchup. Birdsong, I think is probably a little bit better than his price tag would indicate. So I'm completely good with taking a shot on Birdsong. Let's see what Goldie has him at. Let's move on. Goldie's got him a little bit higher. My guess is that Birdsong ends up above 10%. I think he's an interesting spend down option. So Birdsong, Savale as my 2 favorite spend down options on this slate. All right, going to Tampa and the Dodgers. Okay, Bobby Miller was awful. I've probably cost some of you money by playing Bobby Miller. They brought him back up here. We've got him at 90 pitches. I am interested. We've seen just how inept Tampa Bay has been. Bobby Miller, I mean, in his first start back, he was terrible yet again. I know this kid's super talented, and I'm wondering when it kicks in. And I think that he's an interesting option tonight. I will definitely have more than that 7% that he's projected to be owned right now. But I am definitely interested. And I also am very high on the Dodgers tonight. It's only 70 degrees. It's gotten a little bit cooler. We've had some games in the 80s in LA in the evenings. But I am completely fine trying to attack Alexander. You have the Dodgers are really expensive. Should keep the ownership low. Big slate. May not have the lineups out in time. I think this is a great spot to attack the Dodgers. So Dodgers, Red Sox, Yankees are my 3 favorite lineups. My favorite spend-ups at pitcher are in order: Chris Sale, Carlos Rodon, then Castillo, pretty much like you have it right there. But I'm also interested in Bobby Miller. I'm interested in Savale, and I'm interested in Birdsong. So that's pretty much my pitching pool. Anyway, I wish you guys all luck. I will be around at 6 Eastern time. Good luck in your golf. Good luck in your baseball. Good luck in whatever other sports you're playing. Reminder that Sheets is gone for a little bit until I think he'll be back on Monday. And hope everybody has a wonderful